Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a butcher paper brisket. I don't even need to wait until the end of the video to tell you how I liked it. This was by far the absolute best brisket that I've ever made, wrapping it in butcher paper. It was just incredible. So you don't even need to watch the whole thing to find out if I liked it or not, because it was absolutely phenomenal. I will walk you through all the steps and everything that I did, but it just totally blew me away. It was the juiciest brisket that I've ever made and the most tender. It was just incredible. When I cut it up, the slices were just falling apart, which some people might actually hate on, that it could be too tender. To me, it was awesome. It was really juicy. It was really tender, had an amazing bark. It was all I could ever ask for in making a brisket. So let me walk you through step by step exactly what I did. I just went to Costco, got a Packer brisket. I got a 15-pound brisket, and then I cut about 3 pounds off when I trimmed it down. After I trimmed it down, it was a Texas-style brisket, used salt and pepper as my rub. I then got my Kamado Joe up to 225 degrees, and I was using apple wood chunks. I started this at night because I wanted to eat the brisket for dinner the following day. So I started pretty late. Unwrapped, I smoked the brisket for 9 hours. I kind of had planned that out ahead of time from what I had read and seen. That seemed like a good amount of time to get a good bark. Once I hit that 9-hour mark, I took it off, looked at the bark, thought it was perfect, and then I wrapped it in the butcher paper. Now this part was pretty important in that I didn't want to wrap multiple layers of paper. I just wanted to wrap enough to have one layer of paper around the brisket. Now I know where the paper is going to overlap, you will have a little bit more, but I just didn't want to go overkill with the paper. That seems to be pretty important because my thinking was, if I'm wrapping it in multiple sheets of paper, then I'm almost doing what foil does and just sealing everything out and not letting smoke or anything else penetrate. So that was my method. It worked really well. So one layer of paper, I put it back on the grill, and I used temperature and probe tender as well. So I did have a temperature probe. Once it got to 195 or so, I started probing it maybe every 30 minutes until I thought it was probe tender. The final temperature ended up being around, I think, 202 or 203 degrees, which was the probe tender point for me. And then I took the brisket off, and this is probably the most important and often overlooked step, and then letting the brisket rest. So I took it inside, and just to keep everything clean, I wrapped it in foil, and then I put it in towels, and then put it in a cooler, and I let it rest for 2 hours. And that just kind of lets that meat break down and become really, really tender. I took it out of the cooler after 2 hours, went to cut it up, and then the brisket was just falling apart. Some people might say that's too tender and that it was overdone or something like that. To me, it was amazing. It was incredibly juicy, super tender, great flavor. It was just awesome. As you can see, it's the best brisket that I've ever done. I've done a lot of briskets on the Kamado Joe, on the Weber as well. This one was on the Kamado Joe, but the wrapping in butcher paper made a huge difference. I did it on the Weber and on the Kamado Joe, and both were the best respectively for the grill. So it was the best one I've ever made on the Kamado Joe, and it was the best one I'd ever made on the Weber. So I've done it on both grills, and both times it was just incredible. I can't recommend this method enough. It was just phenomenal. So go out there, grab some butcher paper, try it yourself. Let me know how it turns out. Mine was just amazing. Thanks so much for watching Break It Yourself. We really appreciate you. Don't forget to thumbs me up, and we'll see you next time.